I've traveled to some of the most beautiful places on earth and felt absolutely nothing. The problem wasn't the places, it was me. I was there, physically present at iconic viewpoints and famous beaches, camera roll full, Instagram stories posted, but I wasn't actually there. I was performing tourism without ever arriving anywhere. And it took standing at the Three Sisters in Australia, surrounded by one of the most stunning views in the world, to realize I had been traveling wrong my entire adult life. The goal isn't to see the world. The goal is to let the world see you. Let me tell you about the day everything changed. I had planned what should have been a perfect day. Sunrise at a waterfall, breakfast at a cafe with views, a walk around Echo Point hitting all the lookouts, lunch at another Instagram-worthy spot, sunset at a beach near my hotel, 10 hours, multiple photo-worthy locations, hundreds of photos. I collapsed into bed that night and couldn't remember a single moment clearly. The experiences have blurred together into this montage of movement and angles and constant low-grade anxiety about being behind schedule. I had been productive, I had been thorough, but I hadn't been present. And here's the thing, modern travel culture had trained me perfectly. Social media showed me that success meant going everywhere, seeing everything, proving I had been there. The goal was frequency and breadth. Check the boxes, collect the locations, move efficiently. Depth? That wasn't part of the equation. Transformation? Not even on the checklist. But I was learning something painful. Sightseeing fills your phone. Soulseeing fills your soul. And I was starving for the second while gorging on the first. So I started experimenting. What would happen if I went to fewer places but stayed longer? If I walked instead of drove? If I left my phone in my pocket? If I sat at a viewpoint for an hour instead of 5 minutes? At first, slowing down just felt slow, boring even. My mind raced ahead to the next place, the next experience, the next photo op. But gradually, reluctantly, something shifted. The world started coming into focus, not sharper, softer, more textured, more real. I began noticing things I had walked past for years. The way light hits sandstone at a particular angle, the smell of eucalyptus released into mountain air, the sound of waves on rocks that had been listening to that rhythm for millions of years. I started having conversations with strangers that lasted longer than pleasantries. I found myself sitting on beaches for no reason except that sitting there felt right. The places I visited stopped leaving timestamps in my photo metadata and started leaving fingerprints on my heart. I wasn't collecting locations anymore. I was being collected by them. This was Soulseeing. Soulseeing isn't mystical or complicated. It's actually radically simple. So simple that we've completely forgotten how to do it. We think we need to travel farther, see more, go to more exotic places to have meaningful experiences. But soul-seeing isn't about where you go. It's about how you show up. You can soul-see your neighborhood park, or you can sleepwalk through the great ocean road. The location doesn't determine the depth. Your presence does. So what is soul-seeing, practically speaking? First, walking instead of driving whenever possible. Not for exercise or efficiency, but because walking pace is human pace. It's the speed at which landscape can actually speak to you, and you can actually listen. You notice things at 3 miles per hour that disappear at 60. Second, staying longer at fewer places, depth over breadth. One beach explored thoroughly teaches more than 10 beaches rushed through. Intimacy with place requires time. Time to see it in different lights, different weathers, different moods. Third, asking questions of the landscape instead of just taking from it. What is this place teaching? What does it ask of me? The cliffs teach about edges. The waterfalls teach about release. The ancient forests teach about patience, but only if you're willing to be taught. Fourth, letting the journey change you. Soul-seeing assumes transformation is the point. You're not the same person who started the walk. If you finished unchanged, you weren't soul-seeing. You were just moving your body through space. And fifth, practicing gratitude and humility. The landscape doesn't owe you anything. The sunset doesn't exist for your Instagram story. The beach isn't there to meet your expectations. You're a guest. Beauty is a gift freely given that you're privileged to witness. And here's what matters. Soulseeing isn't reserved for exotic locations. You can do this anywhere. Your neighborhood, your local park, the walk to work. The practice is portable. The transformation is available wherever you're willing to show up fully. We're living in the age of infinite content and zero attention. We can see any place on Earth through our screens. We can watch someone else's drone footage of coastlines we'll never visit. We can scroll through 1,000 sunsets before breakfast. We have unprecedented access to visual information about the world and unprecedented disconnection from actual experience of it. The paradox is obvious. We're seeing more and experiencing less. We're documenting everything and remembering nothing. We're everywhere digitally and nowhere physically. Travel has become another form of consumption. We collect destinations like products. We optimize our itineraries. We efficiently extract value from every location. We're productive tourists, and we're miserable. But the backlash is already happening. People are hungry for depth, for meaning, for experiences that actually touch them instead of just passing through their feeds. Soulseeing offers a way forward, not by rejecting travel, but by transforming how we travel. Because here's the truth. How we travel is how we live. If we're rushing through destinations, we're rushing through our days. If we're performing experiences for social media, we're performing our lives for invisible audiences. The invitation of Soulseeing is to stop, to slow down, to pay attention, to let the world leave marks on you. On this channel, I'm going to take you to places I've practiced Soulseeing. Coastal walks, mountain ranges, urban trails, places both famous and forgotten. But the locations are just classrooms. The real curriculum is what these places reveal about presence, about attention, about the relationship between the landscape outside and the landscape inside. I'll show you specific walks and what they taught me, how the Blue Mountains taught patience, how Newcastle taught flexibility and service, how Tamarama Beach taught about overlooked beauty. But more importantly, I'll give you the practice, how to soul see anywhere, how to transform any walk into meditation, how to ask the questions that let landscape become your teacher. This isn't about becoming a better tourist. It's about becoming more fully human, more present, more aware, more connected to the places you inhabit and the life you're actually living. The world is waiting. Not the world of Instagram and itineraries and efficient optimization, but the real world. The one that exists when you slow down enough to notice it. The one that speaks when you're quiet enough to listen. The one that changes you when you're brave enough to show up and be changed. If you want to learn how to stop sightseeing and start soulseeing, subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell so you don't miss the walks. Let's do this together, slowly, attentively, with eyes wide open and hearts available. Let's soul see.